From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
And there you have it, a brand new open for a brand new day. We decided to spice things up around here, kicking off another brand new day here on the Steve Gruber Show. Glad that you're here, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. That hasn't changed. Pushing America first, that hasn't changed. A lot of work to do on this Free for All Friday. Three big things. Number one, the Department of Homeland Security has identified all three men accused of attacking an ICE agent Wednesday before he shot one in self-defense. All illegal aliens from Venezuela. All three here with deportation orders being ignored under Joe Biden's administration. Number two, Germany and France trying to show how well they can defend Greenland by sending 24 soldiers to that island. That's right, about 24 guys. We cannot trust NATO anymore to defend America. That's a fact. And number three, another wild week in the news. The left thinks criminals are victims and victims are criminals. But, of course, that is just nutty thinking by the ICE protesters, the very lily white protesters with purple hair. Meanwhile, those same folks that have been flying every flag except America's at every turn seem to be ignoring the Iranian flag, as thousands there have been killed in a hail of gunfire from the bloodthirsty government in Tehran, and yet not a peep from the professional protesters. Where are they? Meanwhile, Nicolas Maduro this morning, still in jail. But they seem to have forgotten all about the despot that they were so eager to defend just a couple of weeks ago. This is Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline at 877-310-9966. It's in the spirit of Rush Limbaugh. 877-310-9966. Oh, and there are a couple more things that caught my attention this week, like the battle over transgenders participating in women's sports and so forth out on Capitol Hill. And then I saw something yesterday that really explains the problem. You see, Barack Obama deported 5 million people, more than that, during his administration. CNN and others did glowing ride-alongs with ICE, making them look like heroes, which many of them are, many nights. But now it's different. Caroline Leavitt drops the hammer on a dishonest member of the journalist squad in the briefing room yesterday. You have to hear it to enjoy it. Here it is.
Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
No, it is a crooked view, Caroline. Exactly right. She nailed it. She nailed it. Look, I sit in that room sometimes. It's oozing with people like that. Oozing. I have a pass to sit in that room any day I want to. And I can assure you, what she just called out pervades inside that space. All right, let's do it. 877-310-9966. Let's start with Bob. He's in North Carolina. He got in early. Bob, how are you?
I'm well this morning. Good morning to you, Steve, and a double portion Friday to you. Just wanted to say thank you for all you do on your platform and how much you encourage me every day of my life to get up and stand and make America great. I just appreciate you and all you do, buddy.
Amen to you. Anything else on your mind?
Hey, man, I just want to say thank God for my Super Guru Rap Chat bunch. I am Versus on Jitter. God bless y'all. Thanks again, brother. I'll let everybody else have that.
There it is. There's my friend Versus. You know, taking out the Democrats is an acoustic attack. That's what when you speak the truth. It's an acoustic attack on liberalism. That's where I got that from Versus. All right, let's go to Joe, Columbus, Ohio, my former hometown. Joe, how are you today?
Hello?
How are you?
Oh, fine, sir. I was listening a few times this week to a rival station. George Norrie,
whoa. Hold on.
Hold
on. Why would you listen to anybody else? I'm just kidding.
Well,
Go
you're
on.
not on that late at night.
Go ahead.
And anyway, he had several times this last week. I heard at least twice. He had engineering, microchip engineer that came up and said that they have developed a microchip that is so small that they can have an infinite number of information bits on them, and it only would take. I wouldn't take all the time and effort that they would have to plan from great big data centers. That all they would need is just a regular sized room with a box.
You know, that's interesting,
the size
Joe.
of the table.
That's interesting, and I appreciate that. By the way, overnight, speaking of chips, and I'll address that in a second, the United States has reached a deal with Taiwan, $500 billion in investment coming to the United States, $250 billion to invest in the advancement of chips, $250 billion to make sure that we take care of supply chains. Good stuff, right? A microchip continues to get smaller. The amount of information they can contain continues to increase. Why do we need these giant data centers? That's been my question for a while. Why all these giant data centers popping up all over the country? What are they for? I mean, am I adult? Do we need them for AI? Do we need them for your information? What do we need them for? I'm going to dig into that deep and find out what all these massive data centers are actually doing. Dan is in Tennessee this morning. Dan, how are you?
All right, very good, Steve. I'll get right to the point. I'm sick and tired of these Republicans sitting in the Senate and doing nothing. The president asked for the filibuster to be gone. They did nothing. They asked for he's done all these executive orders. What have they done to codify it? Nothing. Can't get his appointments done. All they have is a handful of excuses, and I'm fed up with it. I called my two senators yesterday, and I told them you might as well go home. If you're not going to do anything, then just go home. They have the majority. Act on it. What are you doing, Thune? Get off your butt and get something moving. I was in the military. If you couldn't accomplish the mission, you got fired, demoted, or kicked out.
You're gone.
They're just going on and on and on.
You know what? You echo the sentiments of a lot of people, Joe, that's for sure. The number one thing that needs to get codified is the SAVE Act to make sure we have secure, honest voting in America. The SAVE Act is critical. You're exactly right. I'll be back with more Free for All Friday in a moment. All right, so Ivy just pulled up and handed me this fascinating list that I want to share with you this Friday. Republicans arrested under the Biden administration, dozens and dozens and dozens. Names include the following: Donald Trump, Stephen K. Bannon, Peter Navarro, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, Christina Bobb, Tina Peters. And the list is massive, and that's just a few of them, right? At the bottom, there's a list of the Democrats that have been arrested under the Trump administration. 0. Look, it's a double standard. And I say to the Department of Justice, when you look at somebody like Tim Walz, who is allowing his state to devolve again into chaos and violence, again last night, I saw a video, I don't have it with me at the moment. I saw a video of a member of the new Black Panthers Party with his automatic weapon saying, "I'll put a hole in him as big as a window. I'll defend our neighborhood." They're hoping for open war on the streets of Minneapolis. If Governor Walz and Mayor Smallfry can't get their act together, they need to go. And the Insurrection Act must be put in place. He must invoke the Insurrection Act. Look, President Eisenhower put 1,000 paratroopers, 1,000 paratroopers in Little Rock, Arkansas, in 1957. He didn't mess around with the National Guard. He brought in the 101st Airborne to desegregate schools against the wishes of Democrats. George H.W. Bush put the military on the streets of the city of Los Angeles, 1992, during the riots. This is out of control in Minneapolis. It is time for action. It is time for action. All right, 877-310-9966, the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline. Ray in Virginia, you're next, sir. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Steve. I wanted to say you've been spot on what you've been saying for the last week or so.
Just a week?
And I've been hearing all this stuff about Tampon Tim.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to be one of the dumbest guys
It's remarkable.
there is in the United States.
Yeah.
When a federal auditor comes to your place and says he wants to see the paperwork because you're going to be audited, you don't tell him the FO.
No.
And you don't.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine, Ray?
Sense to know.
Can you imagine? The IRS sends you a notice that you're being audited. You tell them to, stick it in their ear. Do they just say, "Okay, sorry for bothering you"? No, they rip your life apart. They shut down your bank accounts. They audit everything because they have the power to do so, and they have the power to do so in Minnesota as well. Ray, you're exactly right. Mm-hmm. Ray nailed it.
At least the mayor of Minnesota had enough sense to shut his mouth.
Well, yeah, but that was after.
Governor?
Yeah, here's the thing, though, Ray, and thanks for the call. Small Fry, the mayor there, the little soy boy mayor of Minneapolis, who will let his city burn again. It's embarrassing, but again, it's going to burn. It already is. We're lucky that ICE officer, that the rest of those 3 Venezuelans didn't get killed. Attacked by 3 Venezuelans at the same time, here illegally, all with final orders of removal, right? Unbelievable. Ed is in Indiana. Ed, how are things in the Hoosier state? Almost time for the championship. How are you?
Doing good. Steve, the people of Greenland, what happens to them if we go to statehood or whatever and they get run over by military troops with that small population, or citizens move in, or BlackRock takes over? I think they need before we do anything, they need a Bill of Rights to protect themselves, because they've got no protection.
Well, Ed, none of those things are going to happen
if we don't do something.
I appreciate the call. I do. None of those things are going to happen. We're not sending troops to take over the 59,000 people that live in Greenland. All right? That's not happening. What is going to happen is this. We are going to continue to develop the infrastructure there that we did, by the way, during World War II and afterwards. NATO didn't foot the bill. The United States of America did. We built military bases there. We fortified the island. When Denmark fell to the Nazis in about 5 minutes in World War II, who was left to defend Greenland? The United States. Since World War II, who's really been defending Greenland? The United States. Look, This is not really up for debate. We will be in charge of Greenland one way or the other. Doesn't mean we're going to run over them and plant the American flag. We will have some cooperation, some sort of a working arrangement. You watch. And Greenland will get a pile of money. You watch. And the Kingdom of Denmark will be out of the picture as they should have been decades ago. You watch. That's what's going to happen. Bill, also in Indiana. Bill, how are you today?
Hey, okay. How you doing?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
Well, how do you attribute it? We got so many stupid people in the United States, let alone there's so many misinformed, Steve. I've talked to so many people that don't even know your show exists. And my question is, how do I go about getting a hat or something to promote Real America's Voice?
Well, I'll tell you what I can do for you. Here's what I'm going to do, Bill. Here's what I'm going to do. Keep him on hold. Get a mailing address there, Brock. Bill, you've just won a Steve Gruber Show coffee mug, so you can enjoy it every day and show it off proudly. How about that?
Well, God, thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations. You're the winner here today.
I watch you every day. Every morning.
I appreciate that.
I have to get up to get my kid off to school every morning.
I understand.
I'm raising my great-granddaughter, and I watch your show every morning.
Well, good for you. Have her watch it, too. She might learn something as well. Bill, thank you for the call. Get his information, Brock. Thank you for that. We're going to get to Nicholas in Florida. We've got about 45 seconds. Nicholas, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm previously and still in New York, but I moved to Florida because of the obvious.
Right.
Your last three guests were great. You're not just great for a week, you're always great. I also admire you and been watching your show, and it should be more out there. The IRS, your last three people, you just said about the IRS. All the monies and programs being stolen and misused. No one checks where it goes. We have the IRS. What the hell is going on? Why can't they, as you previously stated to the other caller, the IRS can tear your life apart. What the hell are they doing? They're not going after Congress. Why are they not going after people?
Great
All
question.
the new IRS armed services to be armed.
I'll be right back. I got to leave it right there. By the way, I want to say that Nicholas is exactly right, who was just on the phone with me. Sorry, we were up against a hard break there, Nicholas. But you're right. The IRS can get to the bottom of so many things. And you can't say no to the Internal Revenue Service. If they say, we're going to audit you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We're going to audit you, Mr. Small Business, Mr. Large Business, Mr. Whoever you are. Audit the NGOs. Audit the government agencies. Audit the people in Minneapolis or Columbus or Lewiston, Maine, or wherever they are. If you know there's fraud, audit it. He was exactly right about that. Gerald in South Dakota is next. How are you, sir?
Sure.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, am I on?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, here you go, man. The Clintons, if you look into this, I seen an article, I seen it. How many people of the Clintons that they know from Little Rock, Arkansas, and everywhere else that mysteriously everybody disagrees with them commit suicide?
It's remarkable, isn't it?
They're crooked. they are crooked, and they need to be looked into, and they are not above the law.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if Congress told me I had to appear, and I said, F you,
you'd be in handcuffs.
I'd be stuffed and cuffed.
Yeah, you'd be in handcuffs like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. There's no question about it.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, girl, when you say that, what was his name? Who was the guy, the guy that had the killer voice and did Unsolved Mysteries back in the 80s or whatever?
Robert Stack.
What's his name? Robert Stack. Yeah.
Robert Stack.
We should have that guy doing an Unsolved Mysteries episode on the Clintons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the dead people around them.
Yeah, they're stacked like cordwood.
Yeah, everybody around the Clintons wants to commit suicide.
Oh, and by the way,
right.
Yeah, Gerald, thank you for the phone call. Meanwhile, while the IRS is doing its work in auditing, how about we audit the Clinton Foundation? You want to find out, every time Haiti had a hurricane, the Clintons got wealthier. Every time something happened in Haiti, the Clintons got wealthier. Ask the people in Haiti. Clintons got millions of dollars, the Clinton Foundation. The people in Haiti didn't get a nickel. Yeah. We'll continue with Free Speech, Free for All Friday after this. All right, every Friday we also do something else here. We take your phone calls in the spirit of Rush Limbaugh, who did Open Line Fridays, as you know. We do Free Speech, Free for All Fridays, and take your phone calls to get the pulse of America. We appreciate it. We need more women involved. Ladies, don't be shy. I'm very polite. We also do the things that we hear all week, the dumbest thing, the best thing, the funniest thing, whatever. And I can't help but play this again because it is the dumbest thing I have heard all week. Go ahead and roll number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
I take care of many women.
She does not answer the question. That goes on for more than 5 minutes. She's an OBGYN who should be stripped of her medical license immediately. If you're an OBGYN and you deliver babies into the world and you can't tell me whether or not men can get pregnant, you've been overtaken by ideology and not science. It is absolutely outrageous. Let's get back to the phone lines. Steve has been patient from the great state of Virginia. Steve, how are you today?
Hey, Steve, great show. I'm sorry, I'm not a woman and I don't identify as one.
I
just have one
that.
question. With everything that's going on in Venezuela,
yeah,
why has no one begun investigating one Miss Cackling Kamala Harris when she flew down to Venezuela and deposited $1 billion into their bank account?
Yeah, where did that money go? Speaking of the auditing, brings me right back to the theme that we've kind of landed on today. Let's open the books. Let's have a look. Let the American people know where their taxpayer dollars are going. I mean, I agree with that. Where did that $1 billion go? But again, back to the Clinton Foundation, billions into Haiti. All of this money, you know, where did all the COVID money go? I mean, how much money just flowed out? We just learned that money was leaving Minneapolis to Columbus, Ohio, and back and forth. Hundreds of millions of dollars flew out of this country on airplanes destined for Somalia. Open the books, people. Show us your records. And if you don't have records, we'll show you to a nearby jail cell. Steve, you nailed it. Absolutely. Where'd that $1 billion in Venezuela go? Kamala, can you open the books for us? Man, is he on it. Let's stay with the name Steve, but we go to the state of Idaho. Steve, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Steve?
Lovely.
This is my first time talking to you this year, so to you and yours, Happy New Year.
Well, welcome back. What's on your
mind?
mind?
If I need to have a cap made, I am going to put on it Super Gruber and call it good. What do you think?
I love it. Why not? Make some for your friends. They'll need it.
You betcha. Happy New Year, feller.
Thank you.
I'm out of here.
Thank you so much. Good man. I love Idaho, by the way. It is one of the greatest places. The mountains, the rivers, the fly fishing, skiing this time of the year. Yeah, Sun Valley. Oh, it's a beautiful place. I also like Kansas just fine. Been there a number of times. Chuck is there. The whitetail hunting in Kansas is great. Chuck, how are you?
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, where are the water cannons for these destructive demonstrations? Why aren't these the water cannons? And then my next thing is
hold on.
insurance for
I think we should use water cannons and the Insurrection Act and get this thing under control. Are we going to sit idly by as a country again and watch them burn Minneapolis to the ground, what's left of it again? The answer has to be absolutely not. Eisenhower put out the 101st Airborne. George H.W. Bush stopped the riots that went on for days in South L.A. We have got to stop this violent uprising. Okay, go on. What's your next point? Was that it? I lost him? That's it? That's it, Brock? All right. Well, sorry about that, Chuck. All right. Cindy. Now, she's fulfilling a need here. Cindy, good morning. You're in Pennsylvania. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Gruber. I hate waking up without you. I can't stand it. And I do identify as a woman.
Yeah, I appreciate that. By the way, Ivy feels the same way.
For a long time.
Thank you.
I bet. And I think Rav should give you at least 2 hours. So there's my plug for that. I listen to you on WJIM when I can't hear you on Rav. But anyway, question. The rioters, when they get arrested, are they not charged federally? So if they get convicted, they lose their right to vote, and then we have a less Democrat voting bloc?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to have to look into it. I think that in most states, if you're a convicted felon, you can't vote anyway. Some states, you can't. I don't know the specifics of Minnesota when it comes to if you're a convicted felon. But I think
being Minnesota, they probably let them vote.
Probably twice. Yeah, probably let them. Oh, you're a felon? We'll let you vote twice. Cindy, I don't know for sure. But I appreciate it. Thank you for the phone call. That's a good question. But I will tell you this. Some of these criminals, like the ones, if you saw the video of them ripping the gun safe out of the back of the ICE vehicle using a tow strap on a four-wheel drive pickup truck, and they wrapped it on there, they ripped it out, and they broke it open. They arrested that guy, by the way. Guy with a big tattoo on his face. Kind of hard to hide. They found him. Guess what? He's a gangbanger. I know you're shocked to hear that. Let's go to God's country, way up in the UP of Michigan, Lance, Michigan. Riley is there. How are you?
We lost Riley.
Oh, and I was going to give the UP their shout out today. All right, let's go to Chris in Ohio. Chris, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve. How are you doing? Straight to the point. When are the mug shots coming? When are the handcuffs coming for some of these Democrats? They seem to do whatever they want and with no consequences. And a lot of times it's the media covering up. And that's a whole nother conversation. They should be held to a higher standard and should be having their license taken away for misspreading of information. A lot of things need to happen. We arrest Donald Trump.
That's right.
Give him a mugshot
One.
for some made-up charges.
That's right. And again, great call. Here's the thing. Here's the list that Ivy just brought out to me. It's just something that popped up, and I looked at this list. The Republicans arrested under the Biden administration. There's all these names, including Donald Trump and Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, Rudy Giuliani. 0 Democrats arrested under the Trump administration. Weird. Let's change that. Let's go to Chris in Idaho before we hit the break. Chris, how are you? Chris in Idaho.
I'm great, sir.
There you are. How are you?
I'm great. I'm a retired veteran, and the last 35 years has set quite the precedent. And I'm wondering when the rest of us are going to, see the pattern and realize that the damage is being done to our veterans.
Oh, the damage is being done
these
for a lot of
people
folks.
were fought against to bring better results to their countries.
Yeah.
And then brought into our country and given all our benefits. And we have service members on the streets.
You're exactly right.
Not even.
We should cut off all aid to Somalia. We should cut off all aid to any country that doesn't treat us right. We should take care of our veterans first, the people that need it here first, America first. That's what we have to have. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, back to it now. I want to say thank you to the ladies here on the Free for All Friday. You've responded. I'm going to get to you, Catherine, and Carrie, and Leslie, and Anita. I'm going to get to all of you. Just sit tight. We'll get to all your phone calls. And Gene and Kenny, I didn't forget about you either. We'll get to you. But I have to take a quick detour here because this is a very critical midterm election year. It is. You know, and we hear this every year. It's the most important election ever, but maybe it is. If the Republicans lose the House, which historically is what would normally happen, doesn't always happen, but most times the political party with the White House loses the House, and we don't want that to happen. And so we want to look at some comparative analysis of states that have people that have the right to go to work every day without being saddled with a union and those that don't. Mark Mix is the president of the Committee and Foundation for the National Right to Work Committee, which is a 2.8 million member public policy organization. He also serves as president of the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. Mark, welcome back to the program.
Steve, good to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity. Good morning to you and to all those callers that wake up to hear you. That's exciting.
It's good. We get them every Friday all over the country, sometimes around the world. Mark, Michigan is an interesting case. We are the first state that ever got rid of right to work. And so we force people back into unions even though they don't want to be in them and they don't want to be part of it. So maybe it's an interesting case study of what happened to Michigan. It's really important. But you did an analysis of right-to-work states versus the states that force union membership to have a job. You're forced to join an organization, whether you agree with them or not, to have a job in America. That's always seemed wrong to me. I think you should have the right to work, and that's why you're here. What is the difference? What did you find in your analysis?
Yeah, Steve, you know, first and foremost, to your point, the most important element of right to work is the individual choice that workers have whether or not they want to financially support a private organization with their hard-earned money or whether they can get a job if they don't have to pay a private organization. So the independent and the individual rights part of it's a big part, but the economic story is getting better and better all the time for the states that have right to work. Let's look at manufacturing job growth. You know, everyone talks about manufacturing job growth and how we need to have these great paying jobs in America. Well, if you look at the right-to-work states versus the forced unionism states, right-to-work states' growth rate is 10 times greater than those states that allow for forced unionism. Private sector job growth, the number of people employed is double percentage growth than states that allow forced unionism.
Hold on, 10 times.
10
the
times.
growth is 10 times higher if you have the right to go to work without forking over money to the union.
Yeah, and the states that won't allow that, the manufacturing job growth is 10 times greater. In fact, the states that allow forced unionism are losing manufacturing jobs, and right-to-work growth is over 10% during the decade of 2014 through 2024. These are the numbers that are coming out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Steve, from the Biden administration. That's what we're using. So it's not a surprise to anybody when you look at the economics. Again, private sector job growth, double in right-to-work states versus non-right-to-work states. The migration issue of those people from 24 to 65, and then the people from 35 to 55, that prime kind of working year.
Right.
I mean, you look at the migration from the forced unionism states to the right-to-work states, you're seeing it in Michigan a little bit, you see it in Illinois and California. I mean, U-Haul just did a study that showed the price of getting a truck from California to any other state, and then the price of getting from any other state to California. I mean, it's easy to get one to go back to California. It's really hard to get a moving truck to get out.
Yeah. Should have opened a U-Haul business in Southern California. We'd be counting our money this morning, Mark, not being on this program. I mean, seriously. Yeah. They're fleeing California. They're fleeing New York. They're fleeing Illinois. And they're going to places that have freedom like Florida and Tennessee and Texas, right?
Yeah, and Idaho. You mentioned Idaho. That's another state where there's been tremendous growth. And not only, you know, just private sector growth and migration there, but manufacturing job growth as well.
Yeah, you know, I've got some callers on the line coming up from Wyoming. Wyoming listed as the freest state for your money, the best state to retire in, another free state. I don't know what the right to work laws are, but these states that have lower regulation, lower requirements, right to work, they're prospering, while states like California have negative growth because the people are fleeing. Their population's getting smaller as people flee. And look, California's a beautiful place. I mean, it's a gorgeous place. If it had the right policies, it'd be booming too, but they don't, right?
Yeah, indeed. At one time it did. And I think those people in Wyoming that are called will probably tell you to keep quiet a little bit about their great state, because you're right, it is. It is a right-to-work state, by the way, and one of the 26 states that have right-to-work laws that protect an individual worker's right to decide for themselves whether or not to pay union dues or fees.
So let me ask you this. 26 states, that's important. You got more than half. You must have some states that are probably at the tipping point this year before we head into the midterms. What are your goals at the Right to Work Foundation as you go into 26 and look at other states and possibilities?
Yeah, well, Steve, we're in a battle right now in the Commonwealth of Virginia. They introduced a bill to repeal the right to work law there. You know, much like the Michigan narrative, the Democrats control the House, control the Senate, and have the governorship now. And so one of the first bills they introduced is a repeal of right to work. In Michigan, they actually went forward with it. The Democrats, by one vote in the House, one vote in the Senate, and a signature by Governor Whitmer, repealed the right to work law after a decade of being in place in the state of Michigan. In Virginia, we've got the same fight. They went into session yesterday. The right to work bill has been pre-filed. They actually introduced a bill yesterday that would unionize every government employee in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So there's always fights, and they're always pushing for more privilege and more power. And ultimately, Steve, this is not about any kind of workplace situation when it comes to the public sector. It's about a grab for money and power, and that's what it's about. So we're gonna have to fight them here, and there's fights in other states that pop up as well.
So, Mark, I've talked to the president about this on a number of occasions, and he believes and still believes in every election he's been in, even the midterms, or been involved with in any way, he believes Michigan is ground zero. I believe that as well. The Michigan Republicans are in pretty good position they've already got the House back, to get the Senate back and win the governor's race. If they do that, right to work will return to Michigan. I'm quite sure of it. So that's why Michigan is critical this year. Tell people where they can learn more about right to work if they want to get involved.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for the opportunity to talk about that. If they want to find out what's going on legislatively in their state, which now most state legislatures are in session, they can go to the committee's website at nrtwc.org. That's where you can find the bills that are pending in your state legislature and follow what's going on in Congress. If you have questions about your legal rights, you can go to the foundation's website, nrtw.org, and there's lots of information there about your workplace rights. They may be limited, but you do have some rights to fight back against forced unionism, for sure.
Yeah. And don't forget to vote for freedom in November. Mark Mix, always appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. We'll get back to those phone lines, including some from Wyoming, the great right-to-work state, free state, after this. All right, I asked the ladies to step up, and they have. We're going to start with Catherine in the great state of Wyoming that we're raving about today. Catherine, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Hello. First of all, Steve, I really like your show a
Thank
lot.
you.
Okay, you're very factual. You give both sides of the story, and I really like your show.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got three things. One, okay, as far as the gender, I guess I'm kind of like my mom. All you got to do is look down. There it is. Okay, that's number one.
Number
two, okay, I wish I give sympathy to the other countries, but we keep going the way we're going. We're going to wind up being in a third world war, and I really don't like that.
Yeah, we don't like that.
And with companies shutting down and things like that, I think we need to start doing more making in our country than shutting down companies and going overseas to get our stuff that we need.
And number three.
There you go. That's the three
Oh,
things.
there it is. Number 1, 2, 3. Catherine, well done. Really appreciate you being here. Love Wyoming, by the way. Spent a lot of time there. You enjoy your day, and I appreciate that. I don't want to be in a world war, and we need to build more stuff in America. Absolutely true. Let's get to Carrie in Oklahoma before I run out of time. Carrie, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Watch you every morning.
Thank you.
I just kind of spitballing. The taxpayer bill of rights. Don't we have the right? Don't 77 million or 150 million people have the right to not have their money stolen?
You would think.
Isn't that again? I mean, couldn't there be like the spitball? Against the federal government, can't we sue the federal government to not have our money stolen?
Well, that'd be a nice thing, wouldn't it? But the government kind of takes our money anyway. Carrie, thank you for the great phone call. We have the right not to have our money stolen. I agree with that. And you have the right to be here every day. Freedom still rings. We haven't lost this country yet, but we got to fight for it every single day. Send me an email, stevegruber.com. stevegruber.com. Send me an email. Tell me what's on your mind, and we will go from there. I appreciate it. We got more phone calls after the break. Kenny, Gene, Anita, Ronnie from all over the country. It's Free Speech, Free for All Friday. It'll continue in the next hour right here on the Steve Gruber Show. And right there is the QR code. Click on that, and you can join the YouTube feed right there with that QR code. Back in a moment.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
And welcome back to it. Another big hour here at the program. Glad to have you on board. Thank you for being here. Fighting for you for the foxhole of freedom every single day in the heart of America. It's what we do. America first. Three big things to know this hour. Number one, Save-A-Lot. The discount grocery store is joining the Maha movement, eliminating some dyes, preservatives, and other additives. Seems we're on a path to eating better and feeling better around here, and that's good news. Number two, for the first time in a year, housing costs are declining. In fact, the cost of keeping a roof over your head has dropped 5%. More good news for the economy and for people that want to get into a new home. And number three, it is Free Speech, Free for All Friday, powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966, 877-310-9966. Anything on your mind? Whatever's going on in Minneapolis, whatever's going on with the border, whatever's going on with the economy, anything on your mind at all it's open. In the spirit of Rush Limbaugh's Open Line Fridays, we do this every week. Kenny has been patient in California. Kenny, how are you?
How you doing, Steve? I watch you guys every day. Love the whole Rap family. Got
Thank
a couple of things for you. First of all, the stuff going on in Minnesota. Why aren't they coming after Tim Waltz and him for inciting this after all this stuff getting ripped out of that Fed car and everything?
Oh, yeah.
That's really been baffling me.
Yeah, the reckless rhetoric, without question, has ramped this up. You know, when the mayor tells ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis. By the way, he's changed his tune, saying we need to work together and calm things down. Really, Mr. Mayor? I mean, this guy's a disgrace.
Seems to be going the opposite direction.
Yeah, it didn't get any better last night.
And then the other thing here is Greenland. How they're kind of being. We've been Denmark's umbrella for so long, and we want the dome. That's going to benefit everybody.
That's right.
Why can't they just get out of the way?
Well, they will. Look, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you trust NATO, any of the countries of NATO, England, France, Germany, do you trust them to protect the United States in a crisis? I don't. I think NATO is woefully inadequate. I think NATO has underfunded themselves for decades. He mentioned, Kenny did, that Greenland's under our dome. They are all under our dome. Canada, the EU, all of them, excuse me. All of them are under our dome. All right, let's go back to the great state of Wyoming. It's one of my favorites, by the way. Gene is in Wyoming today. Gene, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, Steve, I love your show.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this. I have two things. Let's go back to the Clinton Foundation.
All right.
You know, Wyoming, I believe it's the largest uranium deposit in the world. Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, sold a third of it to a company in Canada.
Yeah.
Who in turn sold it to someone in Russia.
That's right.
And mysteriously, out of the blue, $80-some million wind up in the Clinton Foundation from a woman mayor in Russia.
Yeah.
They want to investigate something, investigate that, and get our mineral rights back on that uranium.
Yeah, the uranium that runs through Wyoming and Montana, best in the world. We closed a lot of that down in the 80s and more of it during the Clinton years. But you're right. It's time to audit everything, right? It's time to audit everything.
Yep.
I agree with you. Where are you in Wyoming, by the way?
On that line is the second thing.
Yeah.
I'm 67 years old, and I had two grandsons who both their parents were my son and their mother had mental conditions, and so I took these boys in and become a guardian.
Right.
Their legal guardian. to keep them from getting raised by the foster system. Anyway, I've had them for 8 years, and here in September, I get a letter from the Social Security Administration say they're cutting their benefit due to another child being added on the roll. And it was from some woman my son had some dealings with.
So how old are these kids?
In Kansas.
Yeah, I don't.
Now they're 16.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyway, long story short, so they took that 40 or $470 a piece from them and gifted this new child and left them with 368. Now, where's the equality in that? Anyway, the second thing was I got another letter.
Yeah, that's the problem. I appreciate the call,
that
Gene. That's the problem with the welfare system. That's the problem with the welfare system. It distributes unevenly, or in some cases, it gives millions of dollars to people who shouldn't even have it, that are running fake autism centers or daycares or whatever. I think I go back to the top of the program. Auditing is the answer. I agree with that. Let's go to Anita. She's in Texas today. Anita, how are you?
I just wanted to tell you, I was brought up in a family of Republicans and Democrats. My granddad, my dad's dad, was Republican, and his oldest brother, Tommy Shannon, was state representative in Texas, Democrat. And they could talk, and they just had different ways of taking care of things.
Right.
In my opinion, we no longer have a Democratic Party. They're Marxist. Yeah. So I just, and by the way, I don't usually watch you this time. I usually watch your later show. I'm not usually up this early. So anyway, I do appreciate you. And I've got to where all I really watch is Real America's Voice.
Well,
I won't even
aboard.
watch our channels here.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. We're growing this audience every day, and we appreciate it. Anita, thank you for the phone call on a Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Let's see, we got time for a couple more here before we hit a break. Ronnie is in California. Ronnie, how you been?
I'm doing really good, Steve. It's good to talk to you.
What's on your mind?
You're a smart man. Hey, California is just so devastated, right? What do you rate our governor right about now?
I think he has zero chance of becoming president, so that's all right. I think it's sad that you have to go through this. Look, California is maybe one of the most beautiful pieces of real estate in the world, in the country. You got great stuff, terrible policies. People are leaving by the droves. I mean, it's just terrible, Ronnie.
Yeah, Steve, I was a commercial abalone diver here in Santa Barbara and got to dive the coast all the way to Oregon and San Diego and all the islands. And, we have so many resources here, too, and they put a ban on diving abs, and they're killing the Dungeness crab guys. They cut their traps in half. You can only use half your gear, and the salmon, and they're just getting rid of the rugged individual guy.
Right.
Like
they
our
want the
boy in New
warmth
York
of
said.
socialism. That's what Mamdani said. We'll get rid of the rugged individual and replace it with warm socialism. Ronnie, there is no such thing as warm socialism. It's at the hot end of a bullet. That's it. Ronnie, thank you for the phone call. I'll still get to more of your phone calls here today on a Free Speech, Free for All Friday. We're going to talk more about the investigations into what's going on in Minnesota and the fraud. People, the theme of today apparently is audit them all. Audit everyone. Where did the money go? That's what they do to you and I. We should return the favor. And I'll return after this. All right, let's jump right back into it now. The fraud in Minnesota triggering calls for audits all over the place. And I agree with this. Open the books. Whether it's Minnesota, the Clinton Foundation in Haiti, NGOs getting piles of money that God only knows where it ends up. Let's get to it. Mike Howell is joining me. He's the president of the Oversight Project. We need oversight. Mike, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Look, open the books, Mr. Walls. Open the books, all of them, Mr. Ellis. I mean, there is no question. Hundreds of millions of dollars going back and forth between Columbus, Ohio, and Minneapolis, we've learned now, and flying cash, flying out of this country to Somalia. Hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, they're just bold and blatant. They don't care because they haven't been held to account. Things are changing, though, I think. What are your thoughts?
I think open the books should be the default posture whenever the government spends any money. I mean,
Agreed.
Look, right now it's systemic, and the Democrats have set up a new style of government. People are looking at fraud as like individualized cases in different states, but no, it's a regime strategy of the left over multiple decades. You flood this country with demographic change, whether illegal immigration or legal immigration. Keep in mind, a lot of these Somalis are legalized. That tells you how dumb our immigration system is. And then at the same time, Democrats push for huge wealth transfers from the American middle class to states, blue states particularly, that have these welfare programs they manage and then they dole out. And so a lot of this fraud that we're calling, it is fraud, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it will end up being legal. It has been legalized over a long period of time. And so moving forward, and this always should have been the case, the federal government, particularly when Republicans are in control, mind you, shouldn't be spending any money that they can't account for. And they do that all the time. We know what the Democrats want to do. They want to have wealth transfers based on racial and immigration characteristics, and they don't care if it's ripped off. It's a badge of honor for a lot of them. These are their constituents, and their constituents have been very happy with the fraud making them rich.
Why wouldn't they be? You know, I get up every day early. So does Anthony. So does Ivy. So does our whole team. So does this network, right? And we go to work. And we build something and we create it and we try to make enough money to pay our bills and move forward. I should have gone to Minneapolis and opened a daycare, done absolutely nothing except fill out some paperwork and once in a while show up at the office to collect checks. It would have been a much better business plan, Mike.
Yeah, but no, you wouldn't, because you're an American and you have American values, and that's what separates us from the Democrats. It's an anti-American movement at this point. And like a lot of people are just like shocked that they would allow this and they aren't ashamed of it. But these are third world values, like the values that we have in America of hard work, being on time, earning your way, rugged individualism, et cetera, are what BLM and the left and the Democrats absolutely hate. In third world countries, this is how governments work in their mind, particularly tribal ones. And right now, the Democrats are a tribal party in the literal sense and figurative sense. And so this is a governing strategy for a population and constituencies that view these as the purpose of government. And that's why it is so anti-American. We haven't asked these people to assimilate whatsoever, despite naturalizing them, which I think should result in their denaturalization. But we shouldn't be surprised when you import clannish groups from, uncivilized parts of Africa like Somalia, and they, bring the same values with them and they're opposite American values.
Yeah, Mike, you hit on something important here, the anti-racism, pseudo-religious adherence to these things. If you don't support Somalis, you're a racist, you see. And if you don't support their ability to be here to speak a different language, and half of them don't speak English, what did I see? 81% are on welfare programs, 78% are on welfare programs after being here a decade. 78% remain on welfare programs because they don't get married. So you've got a man and a woman living together, creating a family, but never getting married, and therefore they're just draining the welfare benefits. And then all of this other stuff, the daycares is just money on top of all of that, the gravy train. But I think the gravy train has been upset because people are angry. And it's not just Republicans and independents, it's Democrats too, saying, wait a second. We're here to help you, so I invite you into my house, give you a meal, a place to sleep, and then you steal from me? That doesn't sit well with anyone.
Yeah, I hope, this very small part of the Democrat Party, which I think wants to be moderate, wants to be centrist, but has been bullied into supporting the craziest stuff, and then, hit with propaganda that makes them feel like it's the normal thing to do because Republicans are the crazy ones. I hope they wake up, because that could change the politics of this all. But you're absolutely right. It's through badgering people over this racism thing that everyone's so over. Well, here's one instance. Our team at the Oversight Project found that Congress was set to give $1 million more, another $1 million check in January, early January, just a couple weeks ago, to another Somalian-led, not an American-led, a Somalian-led by its own name, organization in Minneapolis with, guess what, ties to ISIS. And when we dug on this organization, we found one of the guys who was connected to ISIS and a material support charge for ISIS, giving a TED Talk, basically saying everybody was racist but him. And he wanted to flirt with ISIS because America didn't accept him, and it's America's fault. That's how they think. That's how deep the psychology goes. It's ridiculous. People of any amount of common sense reject it, but we should also mock it.
Yeah, mock it and toss it out. Mike Howell, you're exactly right. How do people find out more about the Oversight Project?
Check us out on X at It's Your Gov. Our website's It's Your Gov, and I'm at mhowelltweets.
All right. Mike Howell, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you, sir. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
There you have it. Look, dig into it. The Oversight Project is doing it. The IRS should do it. Others should do it as well. I think I've got time to grab a phone call here off the Common Sense Hotline. Rich in North Carolina. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm doing all right. I just want to let you know how much I enjoy your show. You know, I can't say you're my favorite because every one of y'all are my favorites.
Thank you.
We watch Ralph from start to the end every day.
Yep.
I call this little mountain community MAGA Mountain. We do got a couple of liberals, but they can't help it. They don't know no better. But what in the hell is wrong with people that invite? You just had a caller that, we invite these people into our house.
Yeah.
And then they
steal from us.
And
they steal from us, Rich.
Yes, sir. Why
it's
can't
wrong.
we get them the hell out of here?
Well, I think that good call, Rich. Thank you. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the blowback on everything that's been revealed in Minnesota is going to blow back across the country and have real results. Thank you for the phone call. More after this. Free speech, free for all Friday. We do it so we can hear what is going on all over this country. Take the pulse in the spirit of Rush Limbaugh. Steve is in Minnesota, the focal point of a lot of questions these days. Steve, how are you today?
Good.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm out here in Minnesota. I was born and raised in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we watched Minneapolis go downhill for quite a few years. And what we've got going on as far as attacking our federal ICE agents is these are not Minnesotans. These are Minneapolis people that have been shipped into Minnesota. We have nothing but a crime wave. They've tried to defund the police. They've never done anything about the Somali white slave trade. And this is what Walz and his whole group are a part of, ripping us off. And
what do you think? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Steve. What do you think about the president invoking the Insurrection Act to get things under control?
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. And as far as our federal agents being hurt by these criminals, and that's what they are. They're murderers, rapists, and human traffickers.
That's right.
And that's what they're fighting for. They're
Absolutely
not fighting for anything else besides that.
Steve, keep the faith there in Minnesota. We appreciate the phone call. You call back anytime because we need to have people on the ground telling us what's really happening. Every day, Americans make choices that shape our country's future, right down to which cell phone provider they support. Here's what most people don't realize. Patriot Mobile isn't just a wireless provider. They're an activist organization funded by selling top-tier cell phone service. They've been on the front lines defending our freedoms long before it was cool, standing up in the gap when others wouldn't. The best part is they deliver prioritized premium service on all 3 U.S. major networks. I've used it for years. That's what we do. Get unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and so much more. And when you switch, you'll help grow a movement that fuels the Christian conservative cause. Every bill you pay helps advance the values of faith, family, and freedom. Switching is easier than ever. All you have to do is go to patriotmobile.com/Gruber or call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Gruber for a free month of service right now. Join a company that actually cares about American values. patriotmobile.com/Gruber or 972-PATRIOT. Make the switch today. Get that free month of service and get on board the team. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to it as we continue on now. My next guest is Congressman Tim Walberg. He represents Michigan 5 in the United States Congress. He will continue to do that after the midterms. You know why? Because he's going to win. Congressman, how are you? Congressman, are you there?
I'm here. I can hear you.
There you go. Good to have you on. I want to play a little something that I saw happen live a couple of days ago, a little conversation between you and the president in the Oval Office. Listen to this.
Well, Mr. President, as chairman of the Education and Workforce Committee, this fits, with the kids, with what they can enjoy in school and grow from. Also to have G.T. Thompson, the sponsor of the bill, on that committee, and I think I've worked with you for 15 years, but we finally got it done in committee. This makes an impact for education, for our workforce, the health that's there, and the reality of what this farming industry does. I live in the most diverse farm district in Michigan. Thanks for coming to Michigan yesterday.
Yeah, it was great.
And my kids were raised on, it's legal now, raw milk, taken right out of the bulk tank. And my oldest son became a Pulitzer-nominated journalist for the Chicago Tribune, and I think the milk did it, right? Then I have the benefit of Dr. Carson being a graduate of Andrews University in my district. So all of that goes together. Thank you for signing this. It'll make a difference.
Great job.
There you have it, Congressman. There you were with the president in the Oval Office. He was there to sign an executive order on whole milk, returning whole milk to schools and stopping the silliness. And at the same time, we've changed the food pyramid. We're returning to real food in America, thanks to Bobby Kennedy and the work being done there at Health and Human Services. It's important for agricultural communities like the ones in your district. It's important to America, isn't it?
It really is, and I just make it very clear. It's more than an executive order. It is the law of the land now. Pushing back on what Michelle Obama did 16 years ago in taking whole milk off of the plate of opportunity for school lunch programs, along with other things, whole wheat pizza crust and salads that the kids wouldn't eat. They threw it in the garbage. Now we have the opportunity for something that's healthy. And the research that's been done on whole milk says, in fact, that it's healthier than some of the other forms of the milk that's put out there. And in fact, it doesn't add to the cholesterol problem. And so it was really a statement of saying, let's take back common sense and let's give our kids the opportunity to enjoy something that they will, as opposed to big government deciding what even you are going to eat.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's decide. Look, let's eat real food. We'll have better results. I know there's a big pushback from some of the big companies that are the manufacturers of this highly processed food, but the fact of the matter is the farmers that produce beef and milk and vegetables and real food are going to benefit, aren't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know for a fact that we've had healthy generations before us who didn't eat some of the things that the government is telling us that we should eat. We're talking about a common sense diet, moderation and everything, but a broad spectrum. And I said to Bobby Kennedy, we're standing there, thank you for giving us a food pyramid that makes sense, and I can enjoy even meat again, and that's a good thing. And some people say this is insignificant, little things with all the troubles going on in the world. Well, we can do a lot of things, including this, and still have a great impact for the people we serve.
Absolutely true. Support a farmer. Have a ribeye tonight and maybe a bourbon to go with it, because I support grain farmers too. All right, so the other thing, Donald Trump was in Detroit. I know you weren't there because you guys were back in Washington on an important vote. He called you all out, though. He named you all, you included. And he talked about what's happening with manufacturing. Look, the economy, 5.4% GDP in the fourth quarter, 2.7% inflation rate, better than expected. I really feel like 2026 is going to be a solid year for the economy for a variety of reasons, because the policies of the one big beautiful bill, which was so big, a lot of people don't realize the benefits that are packed in there, but they're starting to reveal themselves. They're going to reveal themselves to people in their tax returns here in the next few weeks, aren't they?
Well, absolutely. They're going to see that. Taxpayers in my district are looking at significant tax returns, and over the course of the year, almost $11,700 of increased income for a family in the 5th District of Michigan. I think that compares well with other districts in the Michigan also. But you notice the impact, and the president, when I was there in the Oval Office, was still giddy about his time in Detroit, especially with the auto manufacturers. And other than one person, he got rave reviews from the rank and file, UAW members and others that had a chance to see the president up close and personal, understand that he's working for them. He's increasing job security and the opportunity for the American auto industry to achieve success like maybe a few times in history. So it's working, and that's why, Steve, I think you would probably agree with me. The radical left, the Democrat socialists, are pushing and encouraging this insurrection-type activity going on across this country in Minneapolis and Chicago and other places to try to take the people's minds off, because the rabid mainstream media will go right along with their plans to detract from the good things that are happening in this country because of Trump policies.
Yeah, the theme, we take calls on Fridays, as you know, Free for All Friday. And the theme today from people was audit the books. Audit all the books. Audit the Minneapolis books. Audit the NGOs. Audit the Clinton Foundation. Open these books and show us where the American taxpayer dollars have been going and to whom and for what reason. I could not agree more.
Absolutely. The amount of money that we've been putting in, and thankfully for a independent investigative reporter, we found what's taken place in the Somali community in Minneapolis. Total fraud, and that's not putting off on all Somalis, of course, but there's significant community involvement in this, what's taking place with fraud, and worse than even the fraud is also the fact that these taxpayer dollars, many of which have gone back to radical terrorist groups in Somalia and other places in the world. And so it's about time that we see this. And that, again, is some of the pushback taking place in Minneapolis with idiot leaders like that toy mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry.
Little Fry.
And I served with Tim Walsh. We came into Congress together, and he's not disappointing me in the inability to lead a state that like Minnesota.
Yeah, he is failing miserably, Congressman. Got to leave it there. I support invoking the Insurrection Act. It's been done by Eisenhower and George H.W. Bush. It needs to be done now with all the violence that's happening. But I'll leave it there for today, Congressman. Thank you as always.
Good to be with you, and maybe we'll see you at the auto show.
There you go. I might just head down and see you there. All right, Tim Wahlberg going to the International Auto Show. It's always fun to see what the new latest, greatest is in automotive from all the folks. What you're not going to see? The Ford Lightning. You will not see an EV pickup truck from Ford Motor Company because they're all done with that. All right, we'll take a break and come back. I'm going to wrap up a bunch of different things from this week. Clean up some of the clutter, all right? And play you some great sound after this. All right, free speech, free for all Friday, doing it in the spirit of Rush Limbaugh every week here on this program. I like to hear from you because I hear things that I wouldn't normally hear potentially, and I want to make sure that we get the pulse of America every day. Patty has been patient. She's in West Virginia, the beautiful state of West Virginia. Patty, how are you today?
I'm great. First of all, I love your show. I love RAF TV. Y'all gave me hope during the Biden years. And I want to say that just the other day, the Supreme Court took all day to discuss, to describe what a woman is. Well, y'all have footage from Studio 6B, a warehouse show. They asked an 11-year-old boy what to describe a woman, and he nailed it, and it just took him a couple minutes.
Yeah.
So this is a world we live in that they got to bend over backwards for the radical left, and right now too, with them showing their asses in Minnesota. Hey, they want him to do the Insurrection Act because then they can squawk he's a dictator. But the thing is, if he was a dictator, he'd have done put them all in jail with no evidence on them. Like
That's right.
Joe Biden
And look,
did the January 6ers.
Look, Eisenhower put 1,000 paratroopers in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957 because the Democrats, always the Democrats, were blocking federal law and blocking the integration of Little Rock public schools with 9 black children in 1957. It always comes back to the Democrats inciting this kind of violence. But President Eisenhower didn't mess around. In 1992, President H.W. Bush put troops into Los Angeles to stop those riots. Look, the Insurrection Act is not used often, but it needs to be used today. If this continues in Minneapolis, are they just going to let the city burn down again? In order to make America great again, we have to save our great cities. Minneapolis is one of those cities. A lot of damage has been done there in the last 5 years, but I'm not giving up on it. And President Trump has to do the right thing. Patty, great call. Really appreciate it. Let's now go to Chuck. He's in Indiana. Chuck, how are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Gruber.
Good morning.
Just wanted to touch on a few things. You talk about investigating the Clintons. Let's not forget about Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree with that. She made millions.
Yeah, they set her up real good. Second of all, there should never be any law implicated in the United States of America other than those laws made by the American people representatives and the American people.
Agreed.
It's just ridiculous. I don't understand how Texas got to where they have to vote to ban Sharia law. That's just preposterous to me. I just can't even wrap my head around that.
But they will vote to do that. So that actually, I think that's a good thing. It's drawing the line and saying no, absolutely not. They shouldn't have to, but the fact that they're doing it puts an exclamation point on it. I'm okay with that. Go ahead.
And then the one I wanted to touch on was I keep watching a lot of these shows, and a lot of people talk about mega fracturing, and keep saying, well, because Trump's doing this or that. That's not what's going to fracture us. What's fracturing us is these people are not going to jail. They're not being charged. They're not being walked. They're not mugshot. That we get nothing from them. And that's gone on for so many years. We want to see these people arrested. And may I finally say, and then I'll leave you be on my little rant here. All these shows, I watch Rab daily. I watch you daily. And I think everybody needs to remind everybody, get out, get registered to vote, and go vote in November. Vote early, do it in person, and let's make this work.
Agreed. I've said this for a long time. The never Trumpers were annoying, all right? They're just annoying. The people that are only Trumpers, the people that only vote when Donald Trump is on the ballot are a problem. If Donald Trump isn't on the ballot and you don't vote, that's terrible. He has to have the House. He has to have the Senate. He has to have the ability to govern. There's a lot of damage to undo. You can't do it in 18 months or even 24 months. I'm not sure you can do it in 4 years, undo all the damage. He's working as fast as possible. Surrounded himself this time with a cabinet that is on his side and understands the agenda put forth by 77 million Americans in November of 2024. But he's got to have you vote to get there. You know, he mentioned again there to Chuck all these arrests. And if you weren't here earlier, Ivy handed me this list. It's a partial list of all the Republicans arrested during the Biden administration. Donald Trump, Walt Nauta, Stephen K. Bannon, you know him. Peter Navarro, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, Christina Bobb, Tina Peters. And that's just a few of the names on this big list. Down here at the bottom is a list of the Democrats, excuse me, the Democrats arrested during the Trump administration. 0. 0. How is that possible? How is that possible? Look, we need to get serious. Focus on Tim Walz, A.G. Ellis, Keith Ellis, all of them. We need to get this done. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at PuroVet. Support for today's show comes to us from PuroClean's Veterans Initiative, PuroVet. Investing in our nation's heroes by helping them own and operate a thriving local business. You can find out more at 855-PuroVet or purovet.com. PuroClean is a restoration company that I've been using. I had a house fire in a rental house. It's been a while now, but they've done a fabulous job. This is a process, rebuilding a house that's been torn down to the studs, but it's working. And they've got a franchise for you waiting. If you're a veteran, if you know somebody who is, go to 855-PuroVet. Give them a call or purovet.com. Get to the front of the line. Accept that big fat thank you that they're offering. After the break, sports with Brock. I'll be back. All right, welcome back to it. Time to check in on sports with my hero, Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. Media sources are reporting that the Los Angeles Dodgers have agreed to a 4-year, $240 million contract with free agent outfielder Kyle Tucker. Tucker had been with the Chicago Cubs last season and had been with the Houston Astros for parts of the previous 7 years. In the NBA last night, there were 9 games. Winners included Orlando, Boston, Golden State, and Portland. In the NHL, there were 10 games played. Winners included the New York Islanders, Columbus, Winnipeg, and Calgary. In men's college basketball, just one top 25 game. 9th-ranked Gonzaga won at Washington State 86-65. And in women's college basketball, number 2 South Carolina won at home over 4th-ranked Texas 68-65. Other women's winners included number 1 Connecticut, number 5 Vanderbilt, and number 8 Michigan. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Greatly appreciate it. Anthony's upset now, Brock. I've really gone and done it. I've really gone and done it.
What'd you do now?
Well, I called you my hero, and he said, I thought I was your hero.
After everything I've done for you, Steve.
The wheels are just coming off here at the studio today.
You told me previously I was like kind of like a big brother figure to you, and now this.
Well, you know.
Yeah,
I'm
big brother
flattered.
figure.
It's a little frightening that I'm your hero, though.
That's all good.
You have low standards.
Yes, Steve, what's wrong with you?
All right, so yeah, all right, so even though I'm angry a little bit, or put off might be a little bit better, for the championship game for college football being on a Monday night at 7:30 or whatever.
Can't go against the NFL playoffs. Steve.
Yeah. Who's going to win the game? Give me a line.
Indiana.
How much? How big a win?
They're favored, I think, by a touchdown. I just don't think Miami can stop them. I think Indiana wins and covers, as the bettors say.
I think Indiana wins by 21.
Yep, I think that's fair. Now go and watch Miami win like 41-17.
You know, they got there for a reason. You know, let's hope it's a decent game, at least for a half. All right, let's hope that. We'll take a break. Free Speech, Free for All Friday. We'll continue after the top of the hour. I'll take your phone calls. I'm going to clean up all of these stories that don't get as much attention as they should. It's all coming up in the next hour on the Steve Gruber Show. Follow me at Steve Gruber on all the social media platforms, and send me an email at stevegruber.com. I'll be back.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
Happy Friday, my friends. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom and putting America first every single day. Glad to have you on board on this Free-for-All Friday. Three big things to cover this hour. Number one, while candidates for the governor's job in Michigan talk about roads and the economy and different things, one candidate is putting animal protection front and center. I'll tell you about that. Number two, another threat to Americans' agriculture and our well-being stopped at Detroit Metro Airport. I'll tell you about that. And number three, it is Free Speech, Free-for-All Friday. Glad to have you here on the program. We take your calls from all over America, powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. 877-310-9966. We've got Jack in Toledo on the line. He's been sitting there for a moment. Jack, welcome back to the program.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good.
Happy New Year. It's been a little while since we've spoken.
It has been a bit. So, Happy New Year. What is your take? We often talk about economics and things impacting the economy. What's your take as you look down across 2026? Look into your crystal ball. What do you got?
Well, let's start with GDP.
All right.
GDP is looking really, really good. One of the things that's making it good is that exports are going to start boosting the GDP number, and a reduction in imports will also do the same thing, because imports have actually pulled down GDP for years. We're also probably going to see a good spike in spending from businesses improving their manufacturing. So those things are all good. The thing that may have a negative impact on GDP will be government spending. The level of federal employees has dropped to roughly 2015 levels, and if they're not spending money, they don't boost GDP, even though I don't think government spending really
I don't think it should be counted.
Supposed to boost GDP.
Yeah, I think that should not be included, because, look, they drove GDP up during the Biden years by spending your money and mine, not by actual production of anything. It was stealing my money and spending it on, well, God only knows what, right? Let me ask you about this.
Well, yeah, and then
let me ask you about silver, taking a bit of a chin hit today, down $3, but silver was up to almost $94 an ounce. It's at 88, almost 89 at the moment. Gold taking a bit of a downturn today too, but it can only get so hot for so long. They're going to take some profits out right now. Where does it go? What's going on? Is this an indication of the devaluation of the dollar, or has silver been underpriced for all this time?
Well, silver is an interesting commodity. It used to be used in coins. It used to be used in just about everything. Then the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market whenever that was,
1980.
Back late 70s, early 80s.
1980, they did.
And if you take a look at the silver chart, it has some pretty wild fluctuations. It spikes about every 10 years, and we're in that 10-year cycle. So I'm not saying that it's not a good place to invest money. It could be at a minor peak right now and might retrace, but I'm not really more than just a geek on the charts and looking at peaks and valleys to say for sure what's going on there. Yeah, inflation will have a negative impact on the dollar, and when we have deflation, which is very rare, like the only times we've ever had any sustained deflation were both under President Obama.
Right.
People want a safe haven. I just think that people think that the stock market and equities are overvalued right now, and they're trying to diversify. So they're going into gold and silver. And I think you're also seeing, from what I've heard, a lot of investment overseas into gold and silver.
That's true.
Trying to get away from the dollar.
Yeah, there's truth,
So
and that's
I
my
think
concern.
that's what's really driving it. The other thing I wanted to really talk about briefly here is last week ADP came out and the government report came out. I don't trust ADP as far as I can throw it with the employment numbers.
Right.
Because they're a totally different data set than the government, and it's all seasonally adjusted data. But that being said, they showed that job changers are seeing 6% higher wages this year than last year, and job stayers are seeing a 4% increase, give or take.
Right.
And so that means it's above inflation. That means we should feel some good reserves starting to build up. The other thing is, no one was talking about how December had the highest December private sector worker numbers, the highest non-farm payroll, and like I was saying before, federal workers are down to 2015 levels. They've really dropped off a cliff. Now, the other thing that was really good was we had a record number of December full-time jobs and December part-time jobs. It's looks like the economy, even if it's not growing great guns, it's still growing, and it's operating on all cylinders. The only bugaboo in the data that no one's really talking about is that our workforce population spiked by 5 million workers in January of 2025. And the number of people who are not in the workforce spiked by 3 million. I have no idea what that is, if they're finally counting all of the foreign-born workers who are residing here and they just got them in the data set somehow. There are normally big revisions when the January report comes out for workforce population and everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, watch the numbers. Unemployment has been increasing year over year since December of 2023.
Yeah.
And it's just been a slow turning up of the flame. And that could be just because of the sheer number of people in the workforce.
Yeah.
That there are just people who are turning over and having a harder time finding jobs because there are more people in the workforce.
Yeah, that's all good news.
But
I got to
think
leave
that
it there,
with the-
Jack.
with-
We
Yeah, with
used
the
all
worker
that time.
number, the full-time jobs numbers, GDP should continue to grow.
Excellent. So you have a pretty good look and a pretty positive look.
Yeah, it's a good outlook.
There you go.
It's a good outlook, and we can talk about negative stuff all day long if we really wanted to, but I think we need to focus on the good stuff.
I agree. Thank you, Jack. Happy New Year. There you have it. I'll take a break and be right back. Great caller, as always, after this. All right, let's jump right back into it with the smartest, best-looking lawyer in the history of lawyers. An America First guy who's absolutely brilliant, Steve Doolin. Come on down. How do you like that?
Thanks, Gruber. Yeah, you're good for my alert energy level.
All right, so a history lesson that we've been going over a bit here. In 1957, September, President Eisenhower sent 1,000 paratroopers from the 101st Airborne to Little Rock, Arkansas, because the Democrats there were defying federal law and refusing to integrate the schools with 9 black children going to the high school there. Again, it's always the Democrats lead us into this place. They create chaos and violence and then complain about how we solve the problem of chaos and violence. Again, in 1992, riots in Los Angeles. George H.W. Bush sent in troops to quell the violence in Los Angeles. My question to you, have we reached a point in Minneapolis where you've got agitators, and these people, many of them are not from Minnesota, they're imported, that are coming in? You saw an ICE agent shoot and kill a woman here 10 days ago. She hit him with a car. Look, you can have any feelings you want about it at all, but she hit him with a car after refusing to obey lawful orders because she was on a Fourth Amendment detainer at that point when she had been told to stop, get out of the vehicle. She was told several times. Instead, she put it in reverse, slammed it in drive, clipped that officer. Yes, he had internal bleeding. He was hit, folks. Anybody who says otherwise is living in denial. But are we at a point now with the violence? Because after that, another ICE agent shot an illegal from Venezuela. He was beaten with snow shovels and sticks by 2 other Venezuelans here illegally before he finally fired his weapon, hitting one of the perpetrators in the leg. They're all going to get tossed out. Of course, they already had removal orders. I mean, how much of this are we going to take? What happens?
Well, honestly, it's within the president's discretion. So at the point where the president feels that the situation is out of control and the force is necessary, then the Insurrection Act, which is under Article 10 of the U.S. Code, sections 251 to 255, I see in front of me here, can be invoked. And that's what allowed President Eisenhower, you mentioned the 101st, right? The Screaming Eagles. That's what allowed U.S. soldiers, active duty military, to be deployed on U.S. soil, because generally that's not allowed. There's a separate act called the Posse Comitatus Act that prevents U.S. soldiers from being used on U.S. soil involving in any action involving U.S. citizens. That's why we have the FBI, for example, this whole other statute that allows for federal law enforcement, right? So there's this separation between the military and law enforcement. However, the Insurrection Act allows the president discretion. It's an executive power to deploy troops. And we just had the Supreme Court case a week or 2 ago that actually invoked the Insurrection Act in the opinion, saying that the president was using National Guard troops on U.S. soil as federalized troops. And actually, the Supreme Court prefers, I guess you would say, that the Insurrection Act be invoked first. So if the president wants to deploy either nationalized National Guard troops, federalized National Guard troops, or active duty military, then the Insurrection Act is the path, the legal pathway to do that within the statutory scheme. It's almost 6 of one, half dozen of the other, in the sense that the president decides, the president, need to send troops to this area because the lawlessness is so out of control, and we need some force here to protect some lawful act of the federal government. In this case, it's ICE operations. The president can just pick up the phone and talk to the Pentagon and say, hey, who you guys have available, and send 101st, 1st Cav, whoever, to wherever within the United States pursuant to federal law.
The political blowback. I mean, is this not what the left wants to goad the president to? Then they can scream, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. They create massive chaos, violence. And make no mistake, there's violence being aimed at these officers all the time. It is, I think, remarkable that the officer got in the fight with 3 different illegals from Venezuela, was able to get out of that situation alive. I mean, they want to kill these people. Of course, during the Obama administration and the Biden administration, ICE operated just fine. CNN did a glowing review after a ride-along about how dedicated and professional, wonderful the ICE officers were. Of course, CNN today now just attacks them endlessly, but the political blowback could be significant. We got about a minute here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it would be seen as proving the predictions of, for example, Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, who have been claiming that the president wants to use troops from the beginning. And so, the political issues are, it's the briar patch, a minefield, use your favorite analogy. But what I think is happening is they are hoping for another Kent state. They're hoping for bodies on the streets, on the ground, of Americans who have been killed by American troops, whether they be guard or active duty mainline troops. What they want is some dead bodies in the streets, to mobilize basically the same group of people, the next generation of the same group of people that the Kent State massacre mobilized back 40, 50 years ago.
That's what they want. That's what they want. But look, we could let Minneapolis burn to the ground again. I don't think you make America great by allowing the great cities to be destroyed by radicals. But tough choices are coming.
That's kind of tyranny. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but I mean, allowing lawlessness to prevail is a kind of tyranny. That
it is.
Inaction amounts to action at some point.
Yeah. Steve Doolin, everybody. Best looking, most talented, most gifted lawyer in the history of lawyers. There he is, folks. Doolin. Have a happy weekend.
Thanks, best looking host.
Yeah. There you go. God bless America. I'll be right back. All right. Let's get to it. Did you say Ken in Texas, Brock? Is that what you told me?
Tom in Texas.
That's what I said. Tom in Texas. Tom, how are you?
I'm all right, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing lovely. This crew is out of control, but I'm good, sir. What's on your mind?
Man, Steve, I want to call and talk to y'all about Medicare insurance.
All right.
I'm a retired union pipeline welder. I've been a diabetic for 32 years. I'm a type 1 diabetic, man. And about 2 years ago, I was put on an insulin pump. Completely changed my entire life.
Yeah.
I went from taking 5 or 6 shots of insulin a day to being on the pump and knowing what my blood sugar is, not having to check my blood sugar 6 times a day and take 6 or 7 shots a day. And this year in January, I'm on Aetna through Medicare insurance. I'm disabled, 100% total and permanently disabled. I can't work anymore. I can't hold a welding rod in my hands. I've got arthritis so bad and injuries that are just, but I'm on disability.
Yep.
On Medicare insurance. I never drew a check in my life, Steve, not a one in my entire life that the government didn't get a minimum of $1,000 out of. Like I said, I was a union pipeline welder. I'd done very well for myself. And I paid my taxes. I'd done what I was supposed to do. But this year, in January,
Aetna absolutely refuses to pay for my insulin, period. The insulin that I have to live, one bottle of insulin is $720.
How in the world can they refuse your
I can't pay for
insulin?
that. These insulin pump that they have me on, it costs $612 a month for that. That right there, insulin and pump alone is $1,300 a month. I don't make but $2,000 a month, Steve, and I don't know what to do. I'm back right now taking 6 shots a day with a freaking needle, and it's
What union were you in?
and I'm going to die from it if I can't figure out what the hell I can do and what the heck I can do.
What union were you a part of?
This is wild.
I'm almost out of time here.
I've done what I was supposed to do. I get it.
I get it,
And
but
now I'm going to have to die because they won't pay for my medicine.
terrible story, but what union were you in? I would think the union would step up. That's what the union's for, is to protect its people, right? I don't know what the specific facts of his case are. Terrible story. I'll take a break and be back. Well, Senator Jim Runestad is a Republican from White Lake, Michigan, representing Michigan's 23rd Senate District. He was down in Detroit, I believe. I think I heard the president call his name, if I'm not mistaken. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Well, thanks for having me on. Yes, he did call me out. I appreciate that.
there's a lot of hard work goes into being the chairman. So you appreciate when the president recognizes that hard work. But yeah, he did I think a very, very good job here in Michigan, talking about a number of things, the affordability issues, and he talked a lot about how much has increased in all of these different categories of workers, from construction workers, factory workers. It was, I think, around 1,000 to 4,000 increase per year, or this year, in each of those categories since he came into office. And it was about a $3,000 decline during the Biden administration. And so, in the Biden administration, we had 9% inflation. So people were frustrated with those costs. Well, those costs are still up there from that time, but the rate of inflation is coming down. I think it was 2.4% the last time I looked. Gas, I filled up just before I went down to the rally, and I think it was 2.44 I paid. It was at $5 a gallon under Biden. So the media doesn't report a lot of these real big achievements because they're focusing on with the Democrat talking points. But he did a great job of that. He talked about wanting to cap interest rates on credit cards at 10% for 1 year. And there's a lot of families that would make a huge difference.
But having said that, Senator, the credit card company said if you put a cap at 10%, a lot of people, millions, could get their credit card just canceled altogether because they say we won't take the risk. So there is a backside to that, isn't there?
Well, yeah, you'd have to say, obviously, the ones who have agreed to terms, obviously you wouldn't change that. Well, I wouldn't think. But for new people, they would have to check the risk and see if this is something that they're willing to do on new accounts. But yeah, there's a lot of nuance. I put in a lot of bills, and every time I put in a bill, the Legislative Services Bureau starts checking everything out. They come up with a ton of changes. Before I even put it in committee, I'd have stakeholder meetings with everybody involved. They'd have a ton of changes. So what starts off as an idea morphs and changes as new information comes in. So it may not be exactly that. It could change quite a bit. But he's certainly worrying about wanting to make sure that there are things affordable. A lot of what he talked about with the direct payment to the insurance companies that siphon off bazillions of dollars, and trying to get that direct to the patient is, I think, a big plus. Let's talk about the crime. Last year we had the 1 year biggest drop in murder rate ever in the United States. Way higher drop than the year before. So he's doing a lot of things that I think the American people expected.
Well, they don't hear
do.
about it, unfortunately, Senator. A lot of these things you don't even hear about. You're right. And the Big Beautiful Bill is one example. I mean, there's so many things in there most people don't even realize. They'll realize it when they get their tax returns. A lot of them go, hey. So I got to ask you about this, because the problem is, if you go back to 2022, 1 million voters in Michigan that voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 election didn't turn out at all in the midterms. We have got to get the only Trump voters off the couch and into the polling place, or mail your ballot back, whatever. But we've got to get these people engaged, because the Michigan Republicans, you guys are having a lot of success right now with Speaker Hall in the House. The Republicans, if we could hold a special election, you'd have an even draw there, but that hasn't happened, obviously. You got a chance to win the Senate back, hold the House, and have a Republican governor. But if people don't turn out to vote, none of those things are going to happen.
You're right. The biggest thing we're going to face, the biggest headwind we're going to face by far this cycle, is a Republican turnout. And that is Republican passion. You've got to get out there and let people know, do you want these woke policies that Kamala Harris would have imposed? Number one, you'd have, they said it was not 10 million when I was at the border. They said it was 40 million people. totally so that they can redistrict, dozens of congressional districts for the Democrats. Is she the next president Democrat would probably bring in 80, 100 million new people? They just don't care. Do you want that? Do you want a party that believes in transgendering your kids, castrating your kids? You don't have even a choice in this. Is what you want for elementary school, for middle school kids? It's so insane. Your little girl is gonna compete against a 200-pound male athlete that could crush her body, take all their records, take their scholarships. Is this what you want? Because this is what we're talking about, and I can go on and on. Massive crime. They seem not to care about the crime issues. The fentanyl has been cut in half under Trump this last year. I've got to get out there and talk to the base of the Republican Party and say, maybe you don't like a particular candidate for whatever reason, but that candidate is going to be a hell of a lot better than the Democrat candidate. What does it cost you to go and early vote? What does it cost you to go vote? Nothing, but the cost to you is going to be astronomical if you're sitting home watching TV and you're not voting on that election day. So it's the biggest issue. You're right. The biggest issue we've got is apathetic Republicans who don't see what's going to happen to their kids and their grandkids if they sit at home and they simply don't vote.
Absolutely true. All right, we've got about 2 minutes, not quite. You're demanding a court system address fraud loopholes. Real quickly, what are you fighting for?
Yeah, what happens, everybody is familiar with corruption with the court. A lawyer that lied through their teeth, a court officer that lied, did not disclose things. What happens in Michigan is if the court case is decided, and soon after that, there's shown to be unbelievable amounts of fraud that was committed against the court. Nothing can be done. We can't find a single case where it doesn't matter how egregious it is, you're toast because they call it the finality provision. That whatever happened, you're screwed. So I said, no, let's put in that you do get another bite at the apple. If you lose, you pay all the court costs. But there's so many egregious cases. I've talked to attorneys all over and clients all over the state of Michigan that have had this happen. But in Michigan, you're toast. If you lose the case and massive fraud is uncovered the next day that was perpetrated against the court and basically against you, you're screwed. So I've asked the Supreme Court to take a look at changing this rule. If they don't, then we'll put in a bill.
All right. Senator, always good talking to you. Well versed on all the topics that matter to the folks here in the great state of Michigan. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you, Steve. Love doing the show.
Thank you very much. You come back anytime. He will. Don't worry. He'll be back soon. All right. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, fan favorite Ivy will be here. There you have it. I don't know what's on her to-do list, but we'll find out soon enough. Remember, you can always email me, stevegruber.com. Follow me on all those social media platforms. Facebook, we're really growing there. Love your help there. And you can always watch on YouTube all 3 hours from 6 to 9 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. YouTube, the place to go to make sure you catch every bit of the program. All right, I'll be right back. All right, back to it now. Fan favorite. Here she is, everybody. There's Ivy. Look at the color on you today. All bright and festive.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Ivy. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. You said you want to talk about Tim Walz. There's a piece of sound here I've had most of the week, and I haven't gotten to it. Byron Donalds, who is a member of Congress, a friend of ours that we've gotten to know pretty good over the last few years, like him. He's running for governor in Florida. He just hammered Tim Walz on Capitol Hill this week. Play a little bit of this, Anthony. It's bite number 1, if you would, please.
You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo. Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
What I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people away and giving...
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
Nobody said an inconvenience. We have a responsibility to deport illegal aliens.
Yeah.
It goes on. He doesn't have a good answer for anything. He had fraud going on rampant in his state. Look, Tim Walz needs to be held to account for his failure here and all this ugly rhetoric from him and Keith Ellis, the Attorney General in Minnesota, calling him the Gestapo, Nazi, so on and so forth.
Well, I want to put up a screenshot of something he just posted, Anthony, if you have that, saying we need to bring down, this is a cry to the President of the United States.
Oh, please.
We need to bring down the temperature and,
This is a guy
it's
who said
that
Renee
President
Good.
Trump wants to raise the temperature, and we can't be like him. But Trump's not out there talking and raising the temperature. Tim Walz is, and the mayor of Minneapolis.
Little Fry. He's out there telling ICE agents, get the F out of Minneapolis. They murdered Renee Good. Tim Walz said that before he even knew what had happened, knew that the officer had been hit by a car and had internal bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
And if you don't know that the officer was hit by the vehicle and had internal bleeding, you're watching CNN or MSNBC
or some other garbage.
Media that isn't actually reporting the truth. And Tim Walz is in trouble because Representative Tom Emmer has confirmed that congressional investigators now have Minnesota state employees as federal whistleblowers signing affidavits claiming that they warned the governor, Tim Walz,
repeatedly,
and his staff about the fraud that was happening there.
Repeatedly. But they didn't, you know why they didn't pay attention to it, Ivy? Here's why. Pretty simple. All that money that floated around, a lot of that campaign into campaign coffers. And if you look the other way, those 60 or 80,000 voters in the Somali community would vote for you in a large block. Right. It was political power. It was money into your campaign. It's a series of felonies is what it is.
And it's grasping at straws. I mean, when he says things like, if you see ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record.
Right.
It's like, okay, you're encouraging this behavior by the radical left.
That's what I've said. They create the chaos. They create the chaos and the violence and then complain about the methods used to stop that chaos and violence. This is their game plan. They want Donald Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act. I don't know if he should or shouldn't.
Right.
I'm kind of going back and forth on it. Because if they do, see, he's a dictator. It'll just, it's a bad situation.
I think I'll remind people that the governor was out there hitting people with those, pellets, making them go back inside when we were during COVID lockdown.
That's right. He had his own National Guard marching down the streets of Minneapolis, shooting people with paint guns on their front porch.
Who is the
instigator?
Yeah. Or the person who says, it's my rules, or I'm going to come out and force you to do something.
And shoot
Isn't
you
that
with paint
dictatorship?
Guns? Yeah.
Anyhow, I have some good news for you, though.
All right, let's have it.
A new study finds that coffee may cancel out the mortality risk of sitting for long hours each day.
Good news for me, because I sit here and drink coffee.
Yeah, among adults sitting more than 6 hours a day, coffee drinkers had 23% lower all-cause death risk than non-coffee drinkers.
1775coffee.com, promo code Gruber. There you have it.
Well, I will say that I do give you sometimes a hard time about drinking too much coffee.
You do?
But
what do you mean sometimes?
Hey. What What do you mean? I don't give you a hard time all the time about drinking too much coffee.
Well, no, but I have vitamins and I have glucose monitors and I have all sorts of appointments. Ivy wants to keep me
You don't
alive.
have a glucose monitor yet, but thank you for the reminder.
Oh, good Lord.
Hey, I'm just aggressively helpful. You know that, Steve.
Aggressively helpful.
But this means that we can start drinking more coffee.
Right.
Study.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, one other really quick question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the world's worst tourist designation in the United States, based on a world,
Well, we talked about this earlier, and we have a
Oh.
consensus here. Anthony agrees. I agree. It's lousy. I mean, why would you even want to go there? Go ahead. Tell the folks what it is.
Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
The Walk of Fame, First of all, the people that are on that Walk of Fame, many of them I want nothing to do with, because politically.
Well,
they're,
I mean, you think about safety and homelessness and drug use on the streets and gang violence.
But other than that, it's a beautiful place for the boys and girls.
Right.
I had a guy in a Spider-Man costume force me to take pictures with him, and then he started demanding all my money.
No way.
All the costume people, they're ruthless.
Yeah,
So
actually,
he
that's funny.
forced
That
you.
happened.
Hold on, he forced you to take a picture.
Well, that happened to us in Las Vegas. Though we took our gals to go see a couple concerts, and we were just walking along, and there's these guys. Let's take pictures, and they're like, "You need to pay us X amount of dollars." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we did pay them something. But they're street walking extortionists. Be careful, tourists.
No, before you go.
Yeah, before you go. Ivy,
Well, it's been an interesting week, hasn't it?
They all are. It just 2026 has been off to a blistering start. But look, it's the weekend.
Yes.
Good news.
It's Friday.
You're gonna need to take care of your cat. She's just screaming over here. All right. Love you, Ivy.
Love you.
All right. We'll take a break. Final thoughts on this week. We'll put a bow on it after this. All right, I want to talk about, before we go, a couple of things about the rhetoric in Minneapolis and ratcheting it up. I think the Democrats want Donald Trump to invoke the act, and I think that they want him to make sure that the Insurrection Act gets invoked, because that way they can scream that he's a dictator, even though they've created the very environment in which he needs to react. Now, Soy Boy Mayor Little Fry of Minneapolis actually challenged anyone. Say, show me where I said anything inflammatory. Listen to what he said. Listen to this.
So the question was, there has been the accusation that local officials have perhaps taken up the temperature in Minneapolis. First, I'll say, show me a single place where I have encouraged anything other than peace.
All right. Let's go back just a few days before that. I'll show you, Mr. Mayor. Here it is.
There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Whoa, we missed that
We
one,
do
I
not
guess.
want you here.
Brock, I hope
Your
you
stated
caught that.
reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are
Enough.
doing exactly
Anthony.
the opposite.
It's a 27-second bite. Anyhow, I thought they were all cleaned at this point. I guess I'm wrong. Anyhow, he says, get the F out of Minneapolis. There he is, taking up the temperature. Taking up the temperature. Thankfully, we've got the red button for the mayor. The mayor needs the red button. Why? Because he says such kind and wonderful things. Mr. Mayor, you're not a serious person. I'll just say that. At any rate, we're going to leave it there with the temperature out of control in Minneapolis. We're going to leave it there for this week. Next week will be just as busy. I'm just certain of it. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.